Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you? Tell me how you're doing. So today I want to talk about something about black magic. I'll tell you a story about my parents. Actually, my father was affected by black magic, but he denied it all his life. Symptoms started around 2007-2009. His hands and feet would burn. He had no other disease. He was a religious man, memorized the Quran, prayed regularly. Everything looked perfect outwardly. Still, he kept saying, "My hands and feet burn." We took him to the best doctors, tried every treatment, but they could never figure out what was wrong. At first it was just the burning in his hands and feet. Then, out of nowhere, he started vomiting blood. He almost died and we brought him back. People would say there's black magic on him, but my dad would always say, "Who would do this to me? No one would." He just kept denying it. Around the same time, I had my own experiences. I joined university in 2007-2008. I was studying pharmacy. I kept seeing an entity in our house. It would appear all the time. I remember studying for the entrance exam, the pre-med test, and I'd be in the living room studying. Our upstairs hall was where I'd study in summers and winters. Once I saw my mother's figure come to me. She was just smiling at me. It was weird because I never had that sort of close, cuddly relationship with my mother. I was a daddy's girl. My dad would check on us at night, not my mother. So I didn't expect to see her like that. She just smiled. I said, "What is it? You know my exam's tomorrow." She kept smiling, didn't say anything. I looked closer and her eyes were completely red. After that, I think I fainted or fell asleep. I don't remember. Later, while sleeping upstairs, I saw my mother's figure again one more time. Then in 2008 I moved to England and the visit stopped, but I had a recurring dream. For 3 years, from 2008 to 2011, while I was in England, I had the same dream every night. It was of our house back in Lahore, and there was a huge snake in one of the corners of the room like a dragon, something massive lying right beside the doorway frame, but nobody else could see it. For 3 years I had that dream every night. During those 3 years my father was diagnosed with cirrhosis. The vomiting of blood happened again. At one point my uncles took him to a religious scholar because my father's family has many respects to deal enough to see if they could help. Those men immediately said it was black magic, and they said it wasn't just on my father, it was on me too. But because I had moved overseas, they said its effects would be lessened. They gave my mother a wazifa, a special recitation to do for 3 days. My mother and my sisters recited it even though it was very difficult for them. After that, my father's condition improved suddenly. We thought, okay, he's fine. But then in March 2014, everything changed again. My father went to Apollo Hospital in Delhi to see a doctor he used to consult whenever he came to India. This doctor had always said, "You don't need a transplant, your liver is okay." In March he checked my father and said the same thing, that his liver looked fine and he didn't need a transplant. We felt reassured. April passed, June came, it was Ramadan, but his condition worsened. The pain was 10 times worse. He couldn't sit, he kept saying his stomach felt like a ball of fire. We took him to Latif Hospital in Lahore where Dr. Amir used to treat him. They were handling his monthly consultations, giving him medication. The doctors thought maybe it was something like intestinal cancer or colon cancer, so they did every test, MRI, everything. Nothing showed up. Summer was hot to June, July, August, and we usually spent those months in Mantra. It was a family habit. So my siblings all went, my father was still home. Travel was difficult for him, there wasn't much in the way of special transport, and even a short trip could take 3 hours because of traffic. He wasn't going. The brothers insisted he come though, and finally they convinced him to go. They put him in a big car with cushions, my mother and others sat with him, and they headed to Abbottabad. There's a dangerous bend on that old road, you can see how scary it is. Halfway there he told my brother to pull over, he felt like he was going to vomit. My brother stopped. When my father vomited, he was unrecognizable, so yellow and swollen, like someone had dumped an entire container of turmeric on him. He looked terrible, although he had had no such symptoms a week earlier, all his tests were clear. A week before his tests were completed. The doctors had done MRI, the full checkup from top to bottom, they didn't find anything. Yet after the trip, his condition deteriorated so quickly that the next day he was diagnosed with liver cancer. He lived 3 more months. In those 3 months his health kept declining drastically, doctors were baffled. At first he was put in a private room, then we brought him home for treatment. He started vomiting blood again. When we took him back to the hospital, doctors said he wasn't fit for ICU because they said he wasn't severe to be an ICU case, so they couldn't put him in a private room because ICU staff are not present 24/7 there, so they put him in a regular ward so he'd be monitored by the on-duty doctors. That's how they explained it. I was 3 months pregnant at the time. Allah gave me strength. I sat for 12-hour shifts on a little stool by my father's bedside in the ward through his bloody vomit episodes. My mother couldn't bear to see it. My uncle's passionate, strong men couldn't even look. I would take tissues and pull out clots of blood from his mouth. Literal clots. Allah gave me that strength. I'm still proud of myself for that. On the last day we were at the hospital, sitting by his bed, there was a family from the Afghan border, I think near Ali Omerpurt, somewhere near the Afghan border. They didn't understand Urdu. In our family, some people speak Pashto, so whenever a doctor came and communicated, they would translate for that family. Before all this hospital drama, my sister's wedding had been arranged and there's a hall in the hall where all our family weddings are usually held. My father had gone to book that hall. There was a man there, a kind of clerk, the one who performs knickers. We had a good relationship with him. He had my father's number. He later called my brother and asked to come see my father. We were all surprised, thinking, why would he come? That man came and told my family plainly that there was black magic on my father and that there was an effigy, a doll, buried under a tree in a certain graveyard in Lahore. He said the doll was pressed down there, and as the monsoon rains were falling, the doll was rotting and that was causing my father to waste away from the inside. Hearing that, we didn't know what to think. We never imagined that someone close to us, someone from our own family circle, would do something like that. After my father's death, the truth started to come out. The woman who did it was very close to our family, someone we trusted. She used to accompany a neighbour who was blackmailing her. This man knew she was going to people to arrange black magic, so he started blackmailing her. He demanded her jewellery and more and more. Greed has no limits, and the man knew she had money. He knew where her wealth was. He kept squeezing her. She gave him everything, still he wanted more. Because of jealousy and greed and the fact that my father ran the family's combined business, controlled the money, and stood like a one-man army, she apparently felt she could benefit. There were also personal motives. She wanted a marriage alliance between her family and my brother's family, but that didn't happen. The jealousy piled on. When this whole thing came out, our family found out the details. That man from the hospital, the one from the border, who didn't speak Urdu, later spoke in Pashto and told my uncle exactly where the doll was buried, in such and such graveyard in Lahore. We'll find it under a tree on the right side of the gate. He said it had been rotting for months during the rains and slowly killing my father. Hearing that, our family was stunned. Who would do such a thing? We can't even imagine family members doing this. After my father's death, everything went out of my head. I was sitting at his funeral thinking, is this real? How much is truth and how much is false? I was emotional, angry at Allah in a way. I challenged God, wanting to know who did this. Allah answered in a way He showed us. The person who'd done it was someone from our family circle. When the truth came out, her life was ruined. Everyone found out she was the one. It turned out she used to go with that neighbour in his car. She would go to this man to perform these rituals for people. He blackmailed her, and eventually she paid him in jewellery and everything. But greed never ends. After the truth was out, her bad days began. Everyone in town knew she had done it. She had given up everything in jewellery and more to that blackmailer. And yet, in the end, her own life fell apart. She couldn't conceive for years. It took her a long time to get pregnant. Then 2 days before her delivery, she suddenly thought her baby wasn't moving. They rushed her to hospital. The doctors told her the baby had died, and they said the baby had been dead for 3 days. That man had been waiting years for a child, and then to lose it like that, I said to Allah at the time, show me, let justice be done, let you avenge it. Allah gave her back her punishment in this world, a grief so large it's hard to describe. Nothing is greater than losing the child you've waited for. She's still part of our extended family, but she can't even look us in the eye now. She's aware of what she did. When you look at her, you can see the guilt. We used to be best friends growing up. It's tragic how family arguments, small things parents say in front of kids, can build hatred in children's hearts. Those small seeds of jealousy grow into mountains inside them, and then they do something horrible. I was the first daughter in my family to go to university to get a higher education. It wasn't just luck. I worked hard. Even after I got married and had 2 children, I finished my degree. I'm still the first woman in my family with a job and my own small business. People get jealous, but they don't think we worked hard for it. Music interlude. So if you're a parent, here's my strict rule. Never badmouth anyone in front of your children, and not from your side of the family and not from your spouse's side. You don't know what seeds you're planting in their minds. That advice is true. Please pray for my father. May Allah never give such pain to even an enemy. Whatever Allah has taken away, He also lifted us up in life. Now we're doing well, alhamdulillah. My father's brothers are good people, very supportive. One bad fish doesn't represent the whole family. Even her own parents probably know what she did but won't openly say it. Since my father's death, those cousins, the ones who are his children, have been very kind to us. They've gone out of their way to help my brothers. At my brother's wedding, they were like father figures supporting him. No one can take a father's place. I was very attached to my dad. No matter how good someone else is, they can't replace him. Thank you so much. People face so many things in life. While we're breathing, we don't know what we'll encounter. You just have to stay strong and keep praying. Keep your children away from bad people and bad deeds. We knew about some of this for years, but my father would never go for certain treatments or to consult certain people. He had such firm faith that he believed that no one could harm him because he had never wronged anyone. Music interlude. That's the story.